6 teams already eliminated. We're down to just 10. We'll eliminate 2 more today as we open things up with the 2 lower bracket matches before finding out which 2 teams make the upper bracket final later on today. Our panel are ready and willing and able to tell you all about day 3. Charlie is with us, Purge, and alongside them is Black. How you doing all this morning?
Pretty good.
Everyone good?
Yeah.
Long day yesterday, but fun day, Charlie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see what day 3 has in store for us. I think every single day we've seen something crazy, something amazing.
Yep.
And this event, honestly, has been pretty magical.
Yeah, it has, isn't it? We saw some incredible plays yesterday. Maybe Alliance obviously going out, Black, but Loader playing his heart out in that game where he stole the ages and denied in the same game, and still they couldn't win the match.
I actually thought they had that game in the bag, but they just couldn't close it out, and then Na'Vi came back and it just destroyed them completely in game 3. It was really amazing, or it was really late as well, and you know, I might have woken up some people in the hotel.
Really? What, when you went back? I don't want to know what you've been doing overnight. Like,
were you the one with the jackhammer every morning? Just really excited, need to jackhammer something.
He's brought it along with him. Brought it all the way back. Purge, how you doing?
Really good. Every day.
Sharp, sir, this morning. Looking very sharp.
Thank you.
On point.
Every day has like amazing games. There's always at least 1, maybe 2 upsets that have been incredible, and it might be the same today. Every team that's left over could definitely win the tournament, and that might happen. We might see the crazy like loser bracket run like OG did at Frankfurt. Like we could see Na'Vi doing that. I mean, considering I keep betting against them and keep losing, that's 3 of my losses come from Na'Vi now.
It's been your kryptonite, isn't it, in the predictions?
Yeah, it really has actually. It's time to flop.
Yeah, okay, let's take a look at the bracket and update you as to where we are right now in this $3 million 3rd ever major. It's the last major of the season before we move on to the international. All these teams are fighting for the title, of course, and the $3 million, or their share of the $3 million, $1 million plus for the winners, but they're also trying to impress Valve to try and get those all-important TI invites. So just as important in the lower bracket to perform well, as you can see. Team Liquid and Na'Vi are already through to lower bracket round 3. We'll start the day with DC and Vici. Then we'll move on to LGD versus Empire. And then we'll return to the upper bracket to find our 2 upper bracket finalists. Of course, MVP, OG, Newbie, and Fnatic. 2 of those teams trying to become the first ever team to win 2 Valve events. It still hasn't happened, incredibly, after 5 internationals and 2 majors. Charlie, there's a chance here, isn't there, with Newbie and OG in that upper bracket?
Absolutely. I think both those teams have a lot of potential here, but there's a reason why you haven't seen 2. There's a reason why there's been no back-to-back or repeat TI winners. It's because winning puts a target on your back. Winning makes you the focus of everybody else, and everybody gets hungry.
Yeah, Secret, of course, the previous defending major champions, already out in the lower bracket, and Evil Genius is the international champions from last year, also out in the lower bracket. Just shows what a great field of Dota 2 teams we have right now. Black, what do you put that down to? Why is it so competitive right now?
I think it's just the whole skill level of Dota in general. Every year, the gap closes further and further. What is really important right now is team chemistry, how the team works with each other, and just how much you trust each other. We've seen it with Secret and EG. They have all the potential in the world, but they just couldn't make it click in the end.
Purge, we're going to talk about predictions, and we'll show everyone at home how it's going in terms of talent versus, or analysts, I should say, versus the community, because the community are doing quite well right now.
It's actually, I mean, look at top 5 for English. The only one that's not there is Wings. I would say that is actually, in some ways, we're doing better. Our bottom 6 or whatever are a little worse, but not significantly. If you just swapped where DC was, I would say English is definitely ahead.
Okay, all right. I think the community are doing rather well right now. They've got DC in, and then the rest of them are pretty much the same. I guess the MVP at 5 means that it looks slightly better for talent because they've got 4 of the top 5 in there, but it's still going well. And a few surprises still in with a shout. Empire 15th on both rankings, and yet they're still in the tournament.
Well, their side of the bracket hasn't been played that far yet, so I think that's even a little unfair to say. It's equivalent to them getting knocked out the same round as Alliance and Complexity. So we're going to get to the second half of the lower bracket today, and that will progress that, and we'll figure out whether or not they deserve that. They've clearly already gotten through that first round, so bottom 2 was not deserved, but can they go deeper? I'm not sure. Against LGD, it's going to be tough.
Okay, as long as his kryptonite is Na'Vi, Charlie, they were ranked very low in both sets of rankings. Both the analysts didn't think much of them, and nor did the community, and yet here they are, romping on.
You know, a lot of people did have Empire as their dark horse of this tournament. They do have that potential to go very far, but Purge is right. They have a really tough matchup against LGD, who they themselves have been looking very good. Another dark horse considered by many at this tournament. And it's going to be a really close series. In the past, Empire has had a history of maybe choking a bit at lands, not pulling out the win when they really need it. But this is a bit of a new squad, so we'll see if they can pull it out here.
Yeah, LGD versus Empire, of course, our second game of the day. I also want to talk about OG and Newbie, because they're still looking strong, still going through the upper bracket, and previous winners, of course. Newbie a TI4 winner and OG the winners of the Frankfurt Major. They are potentially, along with Na'Vi, and I want to put VG in there, but it's very different looking Vici Gaming, Reborn, but they are previous winners of it. So we've got 4 in there at the moment that could win a second title. Do you think it's possible one of those picks it up?
I really like the chances of Newbie and OG, because as Charlie said, if you actually won the last major as Liquid did, I mean, not Liquid did, but they came in as the favorite for this tournament, and that puts a target on your back, as you said. And OG, they have been doing, like, they were okay, but they were never really like, yeah, we're going to win this major easily. Same as Newbie. They showed some weaknesses right before the major. Nobody expected him to be like that dominant, and it just shows that those two, they don't have a target on their back. That means they can just go really far, because other teams, they did not like research as much as they should have, because nobody expected them to be as strong as they really are.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Perch? Because Newbie were pretty good at Epicenter. They were on that 29-game win streak before they got taken down finally in that one, and then beaten by Liquid in the final. But they've shown us some form, haven't they?
I'm pretty sure the people in their group studied them a lot. Not sure about the other teams. They just said, oh, it's Newbie, let's hope we don't run into them, is maybe something a bit more planned. But there's also a lot of teams that are maybe not the most expected that have already been put in loser bracket. Like Liquid being down there is a huge sigh of relief for all the winner bracket teams. MVP Phoenix beating them 2-0 and showing such a different playstyle has got to be even scarier in some ways, because you can't really plan against that. You just have to be better. So I personally feel like Phoenix is a little scarier than Newbie is right now for a playstyle matchup. Newbie, at least you can plan their heroes, plan their strategies, and play around that.
All right. Going to get more from all three of you in just a moment, but first up, we'll take a look at the schedule, because we have a busy day ahead of us. There are 4 matches. We'll start this morning with Digital Chaos versus Vici Gaming Reborn. LGD versus Team Empire will follow. They're all best of 3s today, of course. And then we'll go to the upper bracket, where we'll see the incredible MVP Phoenix going up against OG. It's going to be a fine battle. We'll finish the day with a Newbie versus Fnatic best of 3. Time now to introduce you to our first 2 teams of the day. So hold on to your seats. Game 1 is not far away.
With 2 Shanghai Major winners in their ranks, this North American team's facelift could spell the start of a very bright future. Under Misery's guidance, they have gone from strength to strength, taking the North American scene by storm. A combination of raw talent and pure drive. They will not let the past define them.
Welcome on stage, Digital Chaos!
A glimpse into the future. This dynamic lineup unites the old guard of FY and DDC with a trio of breakthrough Chinese talents. Boasting some of the would-be stars of tomorrow, they play a cunning game of strategy and reap the rewards of greedy drafts. This is a team with a bright future.
Welcome on stage, Vici Gaming Reborn!
Right then, we're ready. Game 1 is just around the corner. We'll get our thoughts from our panelists. We'll start with Digital Chaos. Charlie, an American organisation by default, but with only one American in there and a range of players from Europe and the CIS region. Is this the perfect blend of players?
Perfect blend of players. I don't think that even exists, but I do think these guys have a lot of talent, with great potential here, and they showed flashes of brilliance and like a sign of what they can achieve in their series against Newbie. Took a game off them. Yes, Newbie is one of the favorites of this tournament, so I was really impressed by Digital Chaos here.
Okay, Black, you had an opportunity to throw me under the bus and you didn't take it. My addled brain was thinking about IG when actually we were talking about Vici, which is why I said 4 teams. It's actually 3 because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a nice guy. Don't turn
He's
him
a
into.
nice guy.
Don't
right?
turn
so
him into
didn't
me.
Throw me under the
I would never call you out on anything. I would never call you out on anything.
You should have done. You should have. Charlie would have done. He was itching. He was like, I want to get in there.
I saw him. He was like shaking.
That's why.
I was
That's why.
scared. So I was like,
DC played really well so far. Have they surprised you in the way that they've played?
They definitely have, but for me, they've also shown a significant weakness, which was if V doesn't get his comfort hero and they actually pressure him a lot, then DC as a whole plays a lot weaker. And obviously everybody saw it because they played versus Newbie yesterday. So I hope they thought about something to cover up that weakness.
Yeah, I really agree. I feel like they need to prioritize one of Wii's good heroes in the first round and let it be done in a way that it doesn't corner their draft or put them into a corner. With that said, though, I just don't have the most faith in DC today. I mean, they're not even playing with their best 2 players, Sunsfan and Slacks. So can they still win? I'm not sure. Like, why would you bench those 2? It doesn't make any sense, you know?
That's a weak meme, bro. Weak meme.
I was waiting for the Charlie burn. I think Charlie must be in a good mood or something this morning because you could have easily got burnt far harder than that. I'm going to leave these 3 memers to themselves, and instead we're going to check in with one of the players of the year, in my opinion. And many people underrate this player as well. This is Resolution.
I'm here with Digital Chaos's Resolution. How you doing?
Hey man, good.
Hey man, good.
Thank
You're I just can't see. You're such a beast in game. You're so crazy, and then I look at you, and you're such a nice lad, big smiles, lots of please and thank yous. What's the difference? You're a psycho killer in that game.
Well man, sometimes you're just not dying at all in game, so that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Now, recently you moved over from the CIS region to the U.S. How you liking the U.S., man? What's your impressions?
Impressions?
Yeah.
I guess it's more about food.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, my breakfast starting with burger. My lunch is a burger, and you know what I'm getting for dinner?
Burger. What? They gotta feed you better than that. What the heck? Is that your choice or?
No. I'm always asking for salads, for some healthy food, but sometimes you just got some spent and you can do.
Sunspan's food regimen is horrific, but all right, it must be giving you energy. I mean, DC has been doing amazing things in this major, just going ham so far. What do you attribute that success to?
I mean, we did a lot of hard work together, like as a team. We watched pretty much a lot of replays together and just, talking about after games. We go outside, we talk about like our mistakes and stuff, and that's how we improve.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people considered you guys kind of underdogs coming into this. They didn't see a lot coming out from you. Do you consider yourself an underdog? I don't.
Well, it's kind of better when no one like believes in you and you like don't feel pressure to do well in tournaments. So that's better for me, especially.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about team diversity for one. You guys have 2 dudes from Secret, Europeans. You're from CIS. We got Moo from America. I mean, is that something that you guys play up really well? And then how do you deal with Chinese teams? So it's the only region you don't have.
Yes, it gives you a lot of opportunities in game, like compare each minds from each regions, like thoughts on game, like from different, positions, and you can combine this all thoughts and combine together to make a great team.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Sounds solid to me. Ever since you joined DC, you've been in Dota for a long time. You've been rocking, doing your thing. what's motivated you since you've joined DC? I mean, what are you trying to
Motivated?
achieve since you've been in there?
Well, it's kind of, I opened some new world for me, from like new view on game from other players, from like this Misery, Wiha, from all my team, and that's gives you to opportunity to work harder and learn much more from
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, sounds good. All right, you guys play a lot of NA teams. You're kind of in that region. Here you are at the major, facing off against a bunch of teams you never played before. In your opinion, who brings out DC's A game?
A game?
Yeah, like your best game. You're like best you can do.
Well, it's mostly about Misery, I guess. He's
Yeah.
a good captain and he provides a lot of calls in game, and that's why we do so well in this tournament.
I see. All right, cool. Last question for you. Maybe the most important one. It's about Sunsfan. What kind of impact does he have on the team? Does he hurt you?
Well,
Does he whip you? I mean,
sometimes yes, but not about this. This guy is just he wants us to win. He'll do everything pretty much what we need to win. So he's not like kind of guy whatever. Like I have a team. Okay, you play. I'm doing my own things. No, he wanna help you and he wanna improve you.
okay. So he'll do anything that he needs to win. So this whole sun fanning thing, it's real.
Pretty much, yeah.
My God. All right. Well, thank you, Resolution, for your time. It's been a real pleasure. And any
you.
words out there to say to people? I mean, you're getting a lot of new fans here. A lot of people want to know something about you. So,
Yeah, it's really good to have like my CIS fans. It even more I have it right now because I don't know, I joined another team like first from CIS who went to foreign team, and it's kind of like surprised people. And maybe that's why I got more support and stuff from it.
yeah.
And I got new fans from other regions as well.
Right.
So I want to say thanks to you guys for cheering for me, and I hope we'll do well this tournament.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of people are hoping that you do as well. Well, we'll see some more from Digital Chaos coming out from the Manila Major, but for now, we'll have to wait and see if they can Sunsfan out a win. All right, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Resolution there with some action slacks, and he is ready in the booth, ready to rock and roll. Charlie, good player,
Absolutely.
very
And-
underrated as well.
And you know, you heard them. Burgers, burgers, and burgers. Who says they're not a North American team?
Definitely blending in well, that's for sure. Purge, when you look at the team overall, do you feel like there's a good balance about them? Is it a healthy regiment? You heard Resolution talking about the fact that they've got together very early, they've studied replays together, they've played together a lot. And unlike a team like Secret or EG, for instance, who have not really played together very much as a team, offline or online, because they're waiting, obviously, they've got all these invites. DC have had to fight their way into the tournaments. Does that help them in some ways?
I'm sure it does. I mean, they've definitely been playing more public matches alone. They live together. They've been an official team, like in the most official sense, for a bit longer. And I'm sure a lot of teams do watch replays together and do all those other typical team building stuff. But sometimes it just takes the right mix of balance for everything to look really good for a team. And they've got two players that came off of a Shanghai Major win. Like, we're only counting 3 teams that have won so far, but really it should be 3 plus DC a little bit. Like, if those guys win 2 majors back-to-back, that's incredible.
Yeah, would be incredible. We're going to move on and talk about Vici Gaming Reborn now. We'll take a look at their lineup as we do so. Charlie, it hasn't been the most spectacular event for these guys so far, but is there an argument to be made that they came out of a tricky group?
Yes, there is, and I think that their group, they did go 0-2 both series in their group, but they did manage to beat EG, but it still doesn't look that great for them, given that in that series against EG had that game. I think if they weren't such a hot mess of a team right now, they would have won that. So great for Vici that they won, but it's still not that much of a confidence boost.
Yeah, and it's still the only game they've won so far at the tournament as well. So they've got a lot to do in terms of proving to their fans that they can go further in this tournament, far more almost than DC. DC have impressed along the way, but Vici haven't yet. Why?
I think they're like a lot of teams. A lot of the lower teams are still trying to figure out how they all work together, what style fits them. It feels like they don't have a weapon. They don't have an identity as a team.
Okay, Perch, thoughts on that?
I'm not really sure. I feel like Vici, they're looking good. They have some old talent. FY's on there. He's at one point one of the most respected players in the world. But taking a best of 3 versus DC, that's going to be a little harder since they have shown some brilliance the last couple days. If DC's on full form, then Vici really need to improve a lot since their last series because, like I said, that best of 1 was real close.
I'm glad you brought up FY as well. Black, we're going to get your thoughts because you played in the region a lot as well on these teams. We're going to get your thoughts in a moment. But before we get to that, FY is one of the most renowned players in the world, and he caught up with Sir Action Slacks before the main event.
Hey, I'm here with FY and, of course, panelist, translator, humanitarian Jack. How's it going, guys?
你好吗？
还可以。
I'm all right.
All right, sounds good. Now, I want to ask you a few questions about Vici as a whole. Can we talk a little bit about how you're feeling about your team and kind of like what the split was like between Vici regular and Vici Reborn?
他要第一个问题就是总体来说，描述一下 VG 的这个组织，然后当然分组时你是就是 VG 战队有点分裂嘛，然后你去了变成 VG2的队，所以他要你描述一下你这两支队伍之间的关系和当时分组的情况。
当时 VG2 原名是 VGP 嘛，然后那时候 VGP 是很多新人，然后在我们 VG 输掉一个大比赛之后，就队伍进行了改变，然后我当时决定想和新人一起打，就是比较有冲劲嘛，新人，然后就这两个队是属于都是独立的队伍，都属于 VG 吧。
So VGP at the time, before it was known as VG Reborn, VG Potential had a lot of very new players. And of course, after we struggled with VG, we basically split apart and I wanted to play with some of the newer players. They're younger and they have a lot of kind of potential and motivation. And so ultimately I decided to go play with them, and it's part of the same organization, but they have two different trajectories.
Right. A lot of teams seem to be adapting that, put very experienced players with kind of new players. Is that the future of China, or is that just a fad?
很多战队就是现在好像用这种办法去组队，就是同时有老将，同时也有很多的新手。这是不是中国 DOTA 的未来的状况？
我觉得应该是吧，因为有很多老人都打了很久吧，然后在年龄上，还有在人身上吧，可能也不会再去选择打这个游戏了，也可能会转型其他的，比如说教练啊，或者解说之类的。毕竟这是一个还是要靠年龄吃饭的游戏吧。我觉得中国 DOTA 跟欧美或者其他地方的 DOTA 都一样吧，还是需要一些新鲜的血液的。
Definitely the case that for a lot of players in China, they're going to be getting older, and some of them will go on to become coaches and analysts when their playing days are done, and so it's just the nature of things that you're going to need new blood, and this is still, after all, a game where youth, so to speak, pays the bills, and saying that you need to be young to be able to do it. I think it's true in any region, more or less. So yeah, you're going to see this combination of younger players and fresh blood and reinvigorating the scenes.
Yeah. Well, since we're on that topic, I want to talk about just the scene in general. There's no one better to ask than FY, right? So does he feel like this Chinese scene is kind of fixed after Shanghai now? I mean, Chinese teams are starting to do really good again. That's a lot for you, sorry.
那当然你是很了解国内的游戏的情况，作为国内的选手，那么你认为就是上海之后，现在就是中国的 DOTA 圈是不是比较修整好了，就比较恢复以前的实力，还是怎么样？
应该算是吧，因为过年前段时间，就是去年过年，中国过年之前， 整体队伍状态都不是很好，然后也没有去认真的训练啊，或者说，就比如说我在危机来说，就没有很多队去选择跟我们接队训练，然后经过几个大赛，就中国成绩都不是很好，大家开始反思，开始刻苦一点吧，然后现在也看出来了，中国队实力还是很强的，包括一些二线队啊，还有一线队都开始发力了。
I think around the time of New Year's, you could tell that the teams were really weak at the time and they weren't playing as much or practicing as much. For example, for us on Vici, we weren't getting many other Chinese teams willing to practice and play with us. And so you can see that after that period, things seem to have gotten better. People are playing and practicing more, and results are improving for us as a region generally. And you see that from both the first tier teams and their secondary teams as well.
All right, well, enough about that. Let's talk about Manila. How are the things going here? Are they putting you guys up nice? You like the experience so far here at the major?
那么我们现在问一下马尼拉的情况。现在你们认为他们招待你招待好吗？很舒服吗？
舒服是肯定舒服的。然后我觉得马尼拉这边的环境很好，就比较像中国的青岛啊或者海南这种地方，就是沿海，然后全年都是夏天，就不会感觉到很冷这些。然后包括这个酒店也是很不错，旁边有很好的环境，然后酒店星级也很高，对选手的照顾也很好。
We're very comfortable and we've been treated quite well. And it's actually similar to some vacation destinations in China, like Qingdao or Hainan, popular vacation spots where you kind of by the sea and it's nice and balmy. It's not cold at all, and the caliber, the star rating of the hotel is certainly up there, and it's really nice, and we feel very taken care of. It's great.
Right. Good to hear. Now let's talk about Ricky. I'm sorry to bring this up, but you're one of the best Ricky guys out there. You're pretty much bringing him into the scene by yourself. How do you feel about the hero right now?
那我们现在谈一下英雄，就是九碗影次。你当然是很经常打这英雄，而且也可以说你算是把这英雄带进了本次版本的环境。然后你对这英雄有什么看法？为什么那么喜欢他？
因为上个版本是赏金比较流行嘛，就是隐身系的。然后自从赏金的3技能浩然增加，然后他的大招金钱变少，就觉得这个英雄似乎作用没有以前大了，然后大家倾向于选择隐刺来代替这个赏金。隐刺的好处是它可以到处做眼，然后团战有输出，还比较克制一些像火猫或者小狗这种就是很难抓的英雄，然后它也可以代替一些乙方的核心去切入，比如说小狗啊，或者就是这种英雄吧，然后也能给团队带来很大的价值，比如说眼位啊，还有抓人这方面。不过它的缺点还是有的，就比如说缺少 AOE， 然后没有逃生，然后没有救人吧。
So in previous patch, the bounty hunter was a very strong hero, and with the invisibility and all of that. But he was nerfed in multiple ways. Obviously, the mana cost of Shadow Walk and Track was nerfed, and so in this case, we find Ricky to really be good at stepping into his role and replacing him. This is a hero that is able to put out a lot of damage later on, can act as kind of a ward and vision spot. Also in team fights, especially, he can get to the back lines and cut to the back lines and even bring people with him, for example, Nakes. And he's also very good at dealing with heroes such as Ember Spirit and Nakes, and he can threaten them. And so because of that, he's still a hero that is pretty strong. But there are some weaknesses in that he lacks AoE, and he doesn't have a whole lot of escape as well.
All right, man. Thank you. What a mouthful for both of you. Thank you so much for that answer. All right, the most important question now. On regular Vici, other Vici, you got Burning. He's known as the Emperor. And then on Vici Reborn, you have this man, FY. He's known as the Prince. but only one team made it to the major. So is the prince now the emperor? I need to know.
那么在 Vici 的2支队上，当然就所谓的皇上就是B 神是在 Vici 队上，然后你的在中国的外号是太子，在这队上，那只有1支队来到了这次特级赛，就是你。那么现在你是不是可以称帝了？
这些都属于大家的玩笑吧，不能因为一个姓就是吧有很大关联。不过我跟徐志雷还是属于比较好的朋友吧。我当然是希望我们危机可以2支队伍都参加一些大型的比赛，不要出现就是1个队或者2个队去打海选，还是希望危机和 VGR 可以都有很出色的成绩吧。
This is kind of a joke, of course, and you know we're still very good friends, and so I wish him the best, and I hope that both our teams can perform very well, so we don't have to compete with each other in qualifiers, you know, for the same spots, and that we can both represent the teams well.
Oh, so close. Well, yeah, good job not falling for my bait there. Okay, well, thank you so much, FY, for coming, and thank you for joining us as well with your great translations. We'll see some more coming out from Vici Reborn in the Manila Major. Stay tuned with us.
The humble FY, a man who doesn't necessarily enjoy being called F-God either. He is a good man indeed. We're going to drop you straight into the draft because it has already begun and we don't want you to miss too much more. There have been 3 picks already, so we'll get you in there right now. Lifestealer the first pick on DC side, Tidehunter and Venge for Vici, and a Doom now for DC. Apologies for the fact that we're straight into the draft. It's caught us out in terms of time, but we'll catch up and we'll get more thoughts from you, Black, because I'm really interested about the whole FY thing, and you know these guys really well. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in between the games, but we'll focus on the draft right now. Purge, no real surprises?
The Ricky surprise ban in first round is a bit weird, but DC has been doing really well with the hero in some of their last matches, and it's a bit of a challenge to play against.
Yeah, something that we've noted in the past is that Chinese teams hate dealing with things that they're unfamiliar with, things that throw them a little off. So rather than just try and figure out a way to deal with it, just ban it outright, sort of like the techies.
Although what confuses me a bit, he said Ricky is good with and against Lifestealer. And DC, they probably plan to pick Lifestealer first. So why did they ban Ricky if it's really good with and against it? Were they like scared of the first pick Ricky, or?
Lifestealer's still good though. I mean, it doesn't have to be with the Ricky.
Yeah, of course it's still good, but it's really good against Lifestealer too, right? So I thought they might pick it themselves because FY has a history of running that hero.
It's possible. They did have second pick though, and DC went first, so they got the Lifestealer.
Yeah.
Venge Tide is still really good though. It protects against a lot of Chronosphere, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ravage obviously is great for early team fights and taking towers. So,
although Doom and Lifestealer both, in a sense, counter Tidehunter. Tidehunter on the lane very strong against Lifestealer, and Doom. We have seen it yesterday when Fnatic played against. Who did they play against?
LGD.
LGD.
Was it LGD? Oh yeah, it was LGD. When LGD had the Doom and Fnatic had the Tide. Tide went 4-step Blink, and it was just a positioning battle because he doesn't want to get doomed. Because if Tide gets doomed, they will just automatically lose the team fight.
How do you guys feel with this this AA ban? I would have thought that would have been a hero Vici Gaming Reborn wanted.
Well, maybe it reveals something about what they will pick, what they want for themselves. Maybe an Alchemist, Enchantress, who knows?
Elk sounds pretty likely actually. Yeah, that's good. Pretty good against Doom. If you get Doom, doesn't really matter. You just walk away in most cases. Against Lifestealer, it can be hit or miss, but generally he has so much farm that it doesn't matter.
Especially if you run a Radiance build, you don't care about Doom at all. And VG really likes their Alchemist. No plays a really good Alchemist, and they ran it a lot in the past. Definitely very likely.
It does seem like Vici Reborn is looking at staying within their comfort zone with those first 2 picks with the Tidehunter and the Venge.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy so far.
It can go so many different ways too. Covers them against some Brood picks. Been so many Brood picks the last couple days. The Tide opening just looks safe on all angles, no matter what happens.
I mean, so does the Venge. It's like good in all phases of the game. The aura is really good to push. You have a save for your carry or other core here that you need to save. They go to the DK.
Is it time for Meepo?
Maybe it is actually. Something that we've noted in the past is that DK enables so many heroes to go mid because the matchup is so kind of meh. Like both heroes usually trade farm, if not just the DK outright losing.
And their one support right now is Avenge, just terrible against Meepo. Does not work well.
On the other hand, though, Tidehunter is really strong against Meepo, but if Meepo gets out of control of the farm, which is very easy against the DK in my opinion, then a Ravage won't matter to you because you just tank it.
Witch Doctor picked there by DC. Gives them some lockdown that they've been missing. More single target damage is good too.
And a very strong save then as well.
And Maledict, they can just get 1 point. It does like 16 of 40 of the damage that you get by skilling it. So you can just put 1 skill point. You have a solution against Tide there with right clicks.
There's no bounty ban either, by the way, here.
Yeah.
Sorry?
There's no bounty ban.
No bounty ban.
Oh, that's a good point.
But what I wanted to get back at is Witch Doctor. We've seen it yesterday. I expected Tide to do really well against that Lycan Witch Doctor lane. But what happened is the Witch Doctor just skilled 1 in Maledict, as you said, and he completely zoned out the Tidehunter. He had like 3 CS, minute 5, and the pick is always really good against Tide. But we do see the Bounty Hunter come out. One of FY's favorites.
I think it was much more likely to be picked by Vici Gaming Reborn. I mean, harassing a Dragonet can work, but if you don't have the right mid hero, it's a bit iffy.
It counters the Doom. Not necessarily counters the Doom, but it's a lot of harassment if Doom decides to go into the jungle and creeps.
And if your team gets doomed, you track them, and then you just run away.
Yeah.
What are we looking at DC? I'm still... What are they going to pick for Wii?
I actually do
Are they
really
gonna
like
pick
the Meepo.
Invoker?
I really like the Meepo here. Invoker... They're not doing Jakiro.
They did that against the TA though, that other game.
Wait, the time when they did the Jakiro mid was against like a puck.
It was against TA actually.
It was a puck and a TA. They did it in the qualifiers as well. It's with matchups that the Jakiro can really bully.
I like it against Dragonet. It's actually very good against that because you have 2 spells that do magic damage, Dual Breath and Liquid Fire. Every time he comes up from a last hit, you hit him with like, by level 4 you're hitting him with like 300, 350.
But the problem with that is then you're running a single core Nyx, and then Mu has to be your delivery system.
Is this not an Invoker game?
Well, it's too late now. They pick DP, but it kind of is. But they don't really have good stun setups for the Sunstrike, which is really where you're getting at least like 30% of your value from Invoker and laning stage. So it's just a little bit iffy, and they need better team fight, I think, early game against Tide DK.
I do love the DP though. We spoke about it yesterday. DP is really good against Bounty Hunter roaming in general, and DK on the lane is very bad against DP as well. So even if DP doesn't get help, Bounty shouldn't be able to bully middle too much.
If you notice, Vici Gaming also doesn't have enough burst to really shoot down DP really quickly. She's going to get her Exorcism off, she's going to get her Siphons, and then I think VGR is going to have a real tough time taking her down.
Yeah, it's 2 strength cores with lots of HP, which means Spirit Siphon gives her more health. And Silence is really good against all of the heroes on Vici Gaming Reborn. It's actually a great DP game.
So far, Vici really needs some burst. They have no burst hero at all. Like, what carry can they
how did they get through a Lifestealer, a Doom, a Death Prophet?
With Witch Doctor healing all of them as well?
Yeah, this is really hard.
Maybe Slardar kind of works, but it's a little all in.
It's very all in.
Very all in.
Yeah. Some teams make it work, man. Some other teams fail with it.
I like the Juggernaut ban a lot. I think that's one of the heroes that might not necessarily fixes VG's problems, but goes a long way in, helping them towards that burst, towards that. It's great against Death Prophet, great against Lifestealer. If you get off the Omni Slash before you get doomed, great against that, and Healing Ward counters the doom.
And it's one of End's favorite heroes as well. But I think they're gonna go back to the Gyrocopter this game. They really need AoE damage, and I don't think there's a better hero than Gyro right now, which is also one of End's favorite heroes. He played the hero so much in the qualifiers.
I agree. I think Gyro is probably the best, maybe one of the better solutions for something that's not going really well. Even if they do pick a Gyro, Lifestealer's great against it.
But this Lich Doom lane, whatever carry they're going to pick now, he's going to have such a hard time. Doom Lich is one of the strongest dual offlanes there is in the whole game. Doom will just go eat a jungle creep while Lich gets level 2, and then they have Nova as well as Scorched Earth. And if you get a Satyr creep, you have so much burst damage on level 2 alone. If they pick a Gyro, they're going to have a really hard time.
This Lich is just starting to creep into the meta. It's been picked more and more.
Ooh, there it is.
And it's 5-5. That is the 93rd different hero of the Manila Major Morphling.
That was a
for
good
Vici
idea.
Gaming. We kind of talked about that yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we said if Morphling comes out, it's going to be a Chinese team.
Yeah.
They're one of the regions that still really respect the hero occasionally. I think it's a great pick here, though, because with the Lich, the Death Prophet's basically covered against physical damage. So if they go Morphling, they're very nuke heavy, and it's going to force a different problem that DPS to deal with. Yeah.
Okay, very quickly, we need your predictions, because we kind of let you off the hook and let you have the first draft before going for series predictions. Charlie, which way is it going?
I would have picked the same thing either way. I'm going to take DC here. I think the Morphling is going to take a long time to get online, especially with the Lich sacrificing his creeps.
Okay, Black, very quickly.
DC.
I was also going to pick DC. Morphling could get a lot of kills against the Lich, but I'm firm that I think DC will win the series.
Okay, 3 out of 3 on the panel. They believe in the North American hype, well, or the European hype, or the CIS region hype. Whatever it is, they believe in DC. It's 3 out of 3. As we head over to our commentary team for Game 1, Odie Pixel, it's all yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Red Eye, and indeed we're ready to go with the first series of the day here at the Manila Major, VGR versus the side of DC. I'm Odie Pixel, joined by Ben. Ben, quick thoughts about the draft?
I actually favor VGRs.
Okay, well, let's see what happens with this one as we get ourselves straight into the action of Game 1.
Digital Chaos versus Vici Gaming Reborn.
So indeed, here we have it. Ben, well, talk to me about that. What is it you're liking? Are you liking the fact that they're bringing in the Morphling? Are you liking the fact that we're seeing FY on his signature Bounty Hunter? What's kind of doing it for you in terms of VGR's draft this game?
More so the FY Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
I think it's generally just first ban when they face other teams for good reason.
Yeah, I mean, the hero itself, it's one of those heroes that's kind of come to this point where there are a lot of teams that kind of favor the Rookie pick over the Bounty. I mean, this time around, in this kind of lineup, if you look at VG, obviously they felt that they had to ban out the Rookie to stop DC from getting it. But do you feel overall they are more comfortable having a Bounty in this lineup compared to a Rookie? Or would they prefer to get the Rookie?
I don't really think it matters too much for them. I don't think DC would have scooped it up earlier than VGR. I am worried for VG Reborn in the fact that they gave Doom to Moo. I think this is one of DC's key heroes, even more so than the Lifestealer.
I'm going to see here by the Bounty runes, and indeed FY got away with that, managing to snipe the Bounty rune away from DC. No, of course, getting the bottom, so a nice little bit of a start here for Vici as they take both away from,
Does this
from
Sentry
DC.
catch that?
Oh, man, that must be... I want to say no. I think that's... Literally looks like a pixel outside of it. Or is it in? No, it's in. Oh,
I can't tell.
We'll have to see when someone walks up there. That is incredibly close. We'll see if they are able to get the D. What if... well, obviously waiting to see when FY rotates around to that bit of the map to get that high ground vision. Lane-wise, so the matchups. I mean, let's talk about the hero that we are really kind of, well, yet to see here at the Major. Morphling down on the bottom lane. He's going to have just deal with misery at the moment on the Lich. I mean, Ends should have a pretty good time farming down here, sure.
Until the Doom comes in the lane, and he did get a Satyr creep at his large game, so that's going to be very problematic for Morph, who's already pretty slow in the early game, and his growth will be further stunted with constant sacrifices. So Morphling's just a little bit too slow, I think, for most of the teams, and probably why this is the first time that he's been picked.
Yeah, an interesting play, of course, as well here from the side of VGR in terms of their lanes. They've brought the tide back already into the jungle. It's just FY at the moment on the top lane soaking up some of the experience. I mean, is there a reason why Yang, to start this game off, just gives up the off lane entirely?
We did talk about the level 1 Maledict that could have been skilled on Saksa. He hasn't put any skill points in there, but I think more so is the Bounty Hunter can't do that much versus the Death Prophet. If they go on the Death Prophet, she can just double Spirit Siphon, or even just single Spirit Siphon and have a good time in the lane. So Death Prophet almost immune to the Bounty Hunter ganks.
Interesting to note as well, I mean, if you look at the two carries, there's a huge difference with regards to the CS. Resolution at the moment, 11 for 1, whereas End just 6 for 1 on the Morphling, so certainly having a slower start here on the bottom lane. And I think, as you said, now down to the fact that the moves come into lane on the Doom, and it is this Doom-Lich combination, which, I mean, together, that is scary for the Morph. He's got to be careful when it comes to trying to get the farm from that.
Right, but you can't discount the fact that VGR have a jungler, so he can compensate for Morphling's lack of CS. But almost out of regen already on the Morphling. It's just a nightmare. That's every carry's nightmare, facing a Lich +1.
Yeah, the Doom Lich lane, it's certainly been a lane as well that kind of a few months back was just the real kind of scary matchup in terms of pubs, and now we're seeing it, of course, again, just in these pro games. VGR, as you said, having the Tide in the jungle, they're certainly finding a lot across the map. It's just going to be the fact that this lifesteal is having a good start. And it feels like we've seen a fair few games here in the Major where a lifesteal has been given a lot of space at the beginning and then just turned into a bit of an unstoppable brute. I mean, if the lifestealer does get a good chance and a good start this game as it's looking to be for Resolution, what are VGR's kind of options and potential in terms of beating him down in the mid-game if he is strong?
Kiting him. We saw Weaver as a solution a couple of times. Morphling's also very difficult to kill. When you're low HP, he doesn't hit that hard with Feast. He also has 2 natural escape abilities that Lifestealer cannot cope with.
Here, wait for him forward, looking for Misery. They're going to look for the first blood, and they're going to get it. There we have it. Can they get themselves a second? It looks like Moo far too tanky, but nonetheless, nice rotation from FY, catching them off as well. The DC may have expected to still see him hanging around the top lane, but the movements and the rotations coming through. Now it's going to free up the off lane for Tide to start getting a bit of XP. But a really nice play here from VG, getting that Morphling the first blood.
And more importantly, they did deward that pool camp, which is especially important versus the Lich, but also important if you want the Vengeful Spirit to be able to set up for kills on their lane. So that was very nice by them. They did expend 3 sentry wards already.
And we can see, as we're looking elsewhere on the map, in the mid lane, No. Falling behind a little bit in CS compared to Weeha. But I mean, is this to an extent expected in a Death Prophet versus DK matchup?
You would think that we might be a little bit more fearful because there's a top lane.
In top lane, we're kind of seeing one of the reasons why Yang is a little bit wary of coming into the lane, getting hugely beat down here. Will be fine, only just going down to 20 HP. He will be able to walk that one off, but well, yeah, as you said at the start, the reason why he was avoiding the lane, and even at this point with the few levels, it's still a very, very scary lane to walk into.
Yeah, level 2 Maledict on the Witch Doctor, so he should probably just take it easy and get some experience and stack up neutrals. I think would be a good move for him.
I wander into the mid lane, but of course with the sentry down, a huge Spirit Siphon just forcing back the bounty. But across the board, really, at this stage of the game, I mean, yes, VGR may have got first blood, but we can certainly see that, you know, all 3 lanes considered, the farm is certainly going the way of Digital Chaos here in the early 5 minutes.
I wonder if it's going to get to the point that Morphling can split push. DC's main tool to defend against that is a Doombringer, but he's going to need a Blink or a Shadow Blade if they want Infest Bombs. No great vehicle, no good Blink carriers aside from the Doombringer, no roaming Riki or Bounty to surprise the Morphling. So even if Morphling doesn't have that great of a time in lane, he can still split push DC while they still do have a very strong 4-on-5 with the Tide Hunter.
Really at this point, a lot of eyes onto kind of FY's movements. He's still hanging around this mid lane, but obviously knowing the sentry is there. Maybe trying to play for a bit of a courier snipe, but unfortunately the courier's already passed back. So not going to be able to get that for the time being. We'll lay down the ward, maybe to set up for future attempts on sniping the courier away from Weeha. Top lane still Yang. He's returned up here. Level 5 at the moment.
They're making a move on mid very soon, it looks like. Vengeful Spirit set up in position, and DK is level 6. Here we go.
There we have it. Dragon Tail to lead in. FY with the wraparound, and with the magic missiles done, it should be enough. Weeha's trying his best with the Spirit Siphon. Is it going to work? And another rotation there from FY, going to ensure the second kill on the board for VGR. We saw him earlier with the action down bottom, making things happen mid. This is exactly what VG need, especially in a laning stage where DC are finding the favorable farm.
And that Observer Ward set up by FY before just made sure that there were no supports hanging around them. They did a very good job of getting DP really low before she could cast her Spirit Siphon, and under the guise of nighttime, made things a lot easier.
DC certainly putting a bit more backup into the mid lane now. Both Saxa and Misery coming into just backup Wii for the time being. FY is going to continue to move around the map, heading towards bottom, realizing that the backup was towards mid, so Moo has to be careful with his positioning here. He will be. He's going to be lucky that the creep wave's pushing in anyway, so Moo should be fine.
Oh, it looks like they're about to smoke. They just smoked under the Observer Ward.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Tidehunter pinged out both of them.
Already, as you said, just two major objectives happening for the side of VGR, spotting out the fact that no backup was there for Wii earlier, and now, as you said, yeah, reading the smoke. So FY with some very nice warding, helping out the side. And indeed, it would be unlikely DC find anything with this one unless VGR make a bit of a mess up. But as we can see already, just hanging back behind the town. I mean, Moo's going incredibly aggressive. Smoke or not, VGR going to know something's up. He's going to throw in the magic missile. Trying to make a bit of a go here, but they do need to be careful. They're going in, but look at the ravage from Yang. Catching out 3 of VGR with the turnaround. Beating down onto Moo. Can they finish this man off here? Running away with the Scorch He's going to get the salve off as well. Moo looking to be fine for the time being with a great escape here. Backup coming through as well from Weeha if necessary. But DC, they don't find anything. A really nice reaction from the Tidehunter. But at the same time, Vici are unable to punish DC for that movement. And DC moves, he's ready to come back in. My goodness, forcing the whole of VGR back down this lane. But no casualties here in this engagement. As FY is just going to come back in, get the vision back up. Eyes on to move, going to make a little bit of a go, and still around with him. You can see DK also making his way down here. Wee's going to get the full-on push with the Exorcism going, and waveforming himself away. They do need backup, and they will have it coming in. The Doom's being laid down. He's already morphing into strength. Is it going to be enough to save him? The brief fire coming out to move. Throws out the Satellite Blast. They'll take down the Doom. Misery still trying to chase down the Morphling to finish him off. Weeha being beat down on the sidelines by Yang. No, with the Spirit Siphon, keeping Weeha alive, and falling low. He's going to live. He's going to live. They've lost to DC. Weeha will take down the DK, but FY looking to finish it off. He'll find it. Makes it a 3 for 2 there for VGR.
And Doom did not have Scorched Earth up for that second time, but he is incredibly tanky. One of Doom's natural enemies is not having a lot of armor, but that's compensated for by the early Frost Armor on the Lich, and was able to survive that initial burst. And good value out of the Death Prophet ultimate. However, they did not get the T1, which is kind of what they were hoping for that entire time. And Bounty Hunter got solo XP on that Death Prophet.
FY, I mean, yeah, he's going to be very happy with the way that engagement did end indeed. Very close to hitting onto the 6, as the urn picked up as well. And it's got to hurt for DC the fact that he came so close to bringing down End on the Morphling there, and he just managed to live through that duration of the Doom. Very, very close indeed. Weeha picked himself up a bit of action in that fight, but of course going down at the end. Not going to be too happy with that, but we can see overall DC still looking in a very healthy place in terms of the net worth, and of course they have had this constant farming from Resolution on the Lifestealers. He still sits straight at top on the tower gold. Certainly going to help as well. FY eyes onto Moose. Saxon, I know he's there. They're going to pop out the dust. Eyes onto FY. Misery closing in as well. No escape for the bounty this time. Digital Chaos punishing FY's positioning.
All he wanted was level 6.
He did.
It's like one creep away.
Oh my goodness, he is as well. 574 out of 600. He'll have it next time.
Lifestealer is incredibly farmed.
This has got to be an issue. You know, we were seeing this timing 10 minutes in. You've already hit your phase boots, your armlet. Resolution. I mean, I guess the one thing that's gonna work for VGR is the sense, as you said, in terms of DC's draft, they don't necessarily have the best vessel for Resolution to jump in and start getting kills.
They can force Vici Reborn to come to them when they push towers because of the Exorcism. I think DC need to do a lot of damage, though, in the mid-game before Morphling gets too strong. Gets that Lincoln's up, so Doom is not an issue.
We hanging around mid. He has the Invis Ring. He wants to be careful about revealing himself as VGR. They do have 4 down here. Nice sentry. Will spot Weeha if he comes right back round, but he's playing safe at the moment. May have even seen it come out of the inventory if he was checking and dropped it down.
And
so.
I think another smoke. It might have been scouted out by the Observer Ward yet again. Bounty Hunter was pinging in that area.
Yeah, look, we can see VGR just moving straight away from the mid lane. Only No there at the moment, but he himself just hiding behind the tree line. See how aggressive DC want to go in terms of getting this DK kill. 2 of them wrapping around behind the tower at the moment. Saxon Resolution, they're ready to go straight forward. In they go with the open wounds. No, he'll pop the Elder Dragon form. Can he actually have any hope of turning this around? Well, with the death or the Maledict on him, he'll get ripped to shreds. No taken down. DC with the Exorcism. Begins to push this tower. VGR have 3 about, but it looks like they won't want to walk into this one, and we'll just have to let Digital Chaos get away with that kill and with a tier 1 as well. And DC, they don't look to want to stop anytime soon, heading towards the tier 2. We'll see how heavily they want to commit.
I think Vici Reborn just guessed wrong. I think they wanted to kind of assault them as they ran up that hill near the bottom rune, especially with that Observer Ward that they had. But instead, DC wrapped it around from the left side around the Radiant Ancients, and Vici Reborn, they turned as fast as they could to help the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, and it's really nice as well. We can see FY, he's hanging around the mid lane. He keeps looking for the courier, but the courier control of DC's been really nice each and every time, just heading it straight back through their own jungle and across the top tree line, just to ensure that it doesn't get sniped. They're going to see Moo initiating with a Doom here onto End. Hasn't really got much backup. Misery is there. Can they actually allow the Lich to get in range with Yang hanging around? Looks like they won't be able to, and the Doom damage will not be enough to kill off End. So an unsuccessful Doom there for Moo. At the least just slowing down the farm of End, but the fact that he doesn't go down, VGR will be fine with that.
So how are they going to start getting track kills? FY's been level 6 for some time now, but they're really hurting in the gold department. 5,500 gold lead for DC. Morphling still trying to recover from the early effects of the Lich in his laning phase. And not too many ancient stacks. DK can take that out once he hits level 11. Morphling, he can take it out pretty slowly, but Tidehunter, no mech, no blink in sight for him.
And they'll continue to just, yeah, you're looking at resolution, 6.5k coming up. It's getting bigger and bigger, working towards that Echo Saber on top of the Phase Armlet. As you said, they've still got the hope in the sense that they're Morphling, pretty elusive for the Lifestealer to deal with and can certainly play around him. But it's a big difference in net worth to have it just 13 minutes in. It's very, very scary indeed looking at this Lifestealer.
Yeah, things are already looking pretty grim for Vici Reborn. So much damage just from the Death Prophet alone with her recently completed Veil. They're not going to have BKBs for some time to come, and they're smoking up. It's very difficult to get the jump, though, with Yang not having a Blink Dagger.
I mean, this is the kind of movement they need to make. They do have eyes onto Resolution. A full 5-man bit of movement here coming out from VGR, but Resolution is playing it safe, and DC actually smoking up themselves. Again, I believe it was just under that ward range that FY has controlling this mid lane. The Resolution playing it nicely. It pretty much averts the attention from the gank and will keep himself right back behind the tower. And maybe he might come through and reveal himself again to look for a bit of a bait, because you do have DC looking for the heavy wraparound. Resolution remaining in the trees, but he is ready to fight if DC get a good initiation from the backside. FY is going to spot out and dispel the smoke on Sack, so they know that DC are coming in hard. How are they going to react to this one? VGR move, Multi into the middle of it all. They'll pop out the chain brush. Ravage comes out. They need to take out Weehar, and they will. But at the same time, DDC's lost his life. Deathfall from Sack to the Doom onto No. They'll take down the DK as well here, DC. And waveforming himself into the tree line. Should be able to escape. But DC, with the wraparound there, finding two. They do lose Weehar for it, but they stop the push of VGR, and now they'll be able to get on a bit of a push themselves.
Great anticipation by FY, thinking that DC might wrap around there. They were pretty prepared. They dropped the Observer Ward at the start, but their sentry wasn't quite close enough to detect FY. We not expecting that they had vision on him. He did have a haste rune and could have skirted around had he known.
This as well, they want to be careful here of FY. FY actually trying to lead in onto Misery. They found him on his own, and Misery getting gushed. Taken down by Yang. DC still hanging around after taking the tier 2 away from the top. Tracks down to Resolution. Let's see if VGR could chase down any of these boys. Saxa on the retreat as well. You have the 4 members of VGR looking desperately, trying to chase down DC, but DC, they're out mid lane. And being gone on by Weehar. Waveform himself away. Dagger now picked up from Mu as well, so they've got to be really aware of this Doom initiation. And still, you know, thanks to the tier 2 being taken down, the fact that Resolution lives through it all, he's still sat there top of the board, 8.1k value. That's 5k lead overall, but really just the kicker being that DC have so much on their cores.
Yep, as you said, too much on their cores. Morphling, he needs a Lincoln Sphere to deal with the Blink Doom Infest initiation, or else he can't split push. We need an Armlet coming out from Dragon Knight. Any sort of track kills coming out for VGR, but I think just that one on the Lich, maybe one on the Death Prophet early on, and that would put DC firmly in the lead.
Nice bit of play there, going for the Roshan. I mean, VGR weren't looking to contest it at all. I guess obviously DC just realizing they had that timing still, where there was 30 seconds without the Ravage. So a really strong timing for them to go for that Aegis. Yang at the moment cleaning up a nice Ancient stack. I mean, if DC could do anything to stop this, take some of these away, that's going to be nice to Dijang. Trying for the TP at the cast. Oh, it won't quite connect. So the TP will be successful. Mech now done on Yang. Still some of the Ancients remaining. In fact, top lane, No. He's going to go for the TP out. Do they have the damage to take him? No as well. TP's being the aim of the game here for VGR, saving 2 lives. Treated by the skin of their teeth. DC will be able to finish off some of these bigger Ancients, so Yang's going to be a bit annoyed with that one. More money into the pocket of Weehar. At least he does have that mech done. Ravage is back online if VGR want to try and take the fight. As DC all over their half of the jungle and side of the map at the moment. They're looking to get a bit of pressure onto this tier 2 in the mid lane.
They don't have Ghosts on the Death Prophet. VGR were able to see that he still had the Ghost up when they went to the mid lane. But without a Blink Dagger on Tidehunter, he opted for the mech instead. There's no surprise coming out for Vici Reborn in their team fights. It's not like they can blow up a Death Prophet unless they can somehow get on top of her, but now that she has the Aegis, that method is unavailable to them. How are they supposed to pop the Lifestealer before he gets his rage off? even with a swap, what are they going to swap into? Maybe swap DK stun?
Yeah, so I guess at the moment, yeah, without any kind of blink initiation, as you said, all about these swaps if they can get it. And they are kind of setting up towards the side of the mid lane. With this ward as well, they do have eyes onto DC. To move away, a little bit scared of Weeha. He's going to have Exorcism back up in 15 seconds.
I think Moo's going to set up for a kill onto the Morphling right now.
Absolutely. That looks to be the case. TP straight down, Moo. He's going to reveal himself in lane, but are they aware that the lifestealer's in him? And are we going to see them trying to go for a bit of aggression? He can't quite land the Doom down onto N. We'll just drop it onto Yang instead. Going to allow Resolution to look for the chase down. At the same time, trying to be down an N. Will manage to cancel the TP and N. Low on mana here, could be in trouble. Misery coming through, throwing down the Chain Frost. At the same time, Resolution continue to chase down Yang. We'll watch the kill onto N to see if they're able to finish it off. They will. And thanks to the split screen, we'll be able to watch Resolution chasing down Yang. Kraken Shell bringing off the slow, but it doesn't matter. Beat down from Rezo as the Echo Saber hit comes through. Taxa with the Death Ward. He's got the vision as well as he popped the dust, and it looks like DC may be able to find a third. They will, with the Maledict popping, finding themselves a third kill there. VGR being broken apart by DC. DC losing nothing, and they'll be ready to push. They still have the Exorcism available for Wii.
Vici Reborn so desperate to get any sort of farm, knowing that Doom was over there with the Blink Dagger, but just trying to eke out that little bit of extra gold. Morphling was at like 2050, so close to that ultimate orb.
Certainly got to be painful here for the side of VGR and DC. Looks like there's no stopping them for the time being. They're in a very good place to push. Aegis and Exorcism at the ready. Let's see what we can do to stop this one. Will be what FY is saying here to the boys. But already this is a very strong push. Tier 3 now down to half health. VGR just wondering for, they do have a Ravage. Swap as well if they can look to set something off. But as you said, ideally initiating onto the Death Prophet, but he's still got that Aegis.
They have to get the swap on Resolution.
He's coming quite close as well. DDC's eyeing him up. DC just playing it smart, playing it safe. And looks like they'll be happy with that one, doing a significant amount of damage to the Tier 3, backing off, feeling that they're in no kind of pressure at all at this position. That they can just back off, look to farm out the lanes, push out elsewhere across the map, and still just maintain this control that they have over VGR.
Morphling can't get past the river, and VGR couldn't even control the Ancients once DC were doing Roche. So they can't farm anywhere safely at this point, and still struggling to even get their first item. Only the armlet completed on Dragon Knight. Morphling still progressing towards that Lincoln Sphere, but on the side of DC, just way too many items for Vici to cope with.
I mean, just look at this, coming out. That was the completed SMY by looks of it for Resolution. I mean, this lifesteal, 203, 158 CS, 11,500 net worth. I mean, he is so far ahead of just comparatively to N's Morphling, to the extent that it looks like it's kind of like an Alchemist game. You'd only expect it 20 minutes in, someone like an Out to be a clear 4K ahead of the opponent's core. It's an incredible rate that this man's farming, and just the fact that VGR, they've not been able to do anything about him. We saw them try to make that one play where they sent 5 heroes top, didn't end up going well. Resolution, I mean, he feels confident to just run at them at this stage. He really has no reason to be scared at all. FY is going to come around here with a bit of a wraparound. We'll see if they can punish him. But, I mean, yeah, Resolution. You're only killing this man if you send 5 of them up there, and even at that, it's going to be a bit of an ordeal. DC with the Exorcism back very shortly, I'd imagine. They're going to get ready to push again. Yeah, 10 seconds, and Wee's going to have that. They won't need it for the Tier 2. They will have it up if they want to move on to the Tier 3. Looks like bottom lane. Well, no, we'll get away with taking down the tower. Looks like a Blink Dagger. Resolution's in there, making sure that he continues to farm.
So finally their first tool that they can maybe catch out an important hero like the Lifestealer. Right now Resolution's just running rampant around the map, knowing that he can rage and simply run away from any situation that's thrown at him. Until the Dragon Tail, the Blink Dragon Tail, which I think is much better than the Blink Ravage.
Definitely a great way for the side of VGR to set something up if they find themselves in a position to do so. And at the moment, DC just taking over the jungle of VG Reborn, allowing Resolution to keep this aggressive push on the bottom lane. FY just checking out the back lines, getting some tracks out. making sure that the intel is there for the side. If DC do then try and go for a play, maybe giving the chance for VGR to make sure they get that key initiation onto the heroes that are necessary.
In a large-scale team fight, I think DC takes this very easily.
Yeah.
If they get the mech up on Lich, that should heal most of the burst damage coming out from the Ravage. They don't have too much follow-up for the Ravage and no BKBs to deal with the Spirit Siphon or the Chain Frost. And on top of that, they have just a lot of stuff that wouldn't even matter.
And there we have it.
BKBs.
Ready to go with the push. Tier 3 down. Weeheart with the Exorcism up. See if DC can get away with taking away this bottom set of racks away from Vici Gaming. Courier will be sniped out here by FY. But nonetheless, he's got to do something about this. The push coming in. Dragon Tail leading the edge. Ravage follow-up, catching out 3. They need to take that resolution, but moves there with the backup. Drops the Doom out to Nono. The cast, the Death Ward as well from Saxa, forcing them back. DC take 2. Eyes onto DDC as well as Weeheart just moving right towards their backlines, keeping Vici Gaming away from holding on to their racks as DC will take the full set from them on the bottom lane. 2 kills as well, 30 seconds away from both the Dragon Knight and the Tide. No buyback available, and DC, they're just going to move straight towards the mid lane. And at this point, Ben, what do Vici Gaming do about this?
They have severe damage issues. They try to chain stun resolution down, but barely got him to 40%. The Frost Armor doing a lot of work there.
Look at this Cypher just ripping through the Morphling. FY to the Shuriken. It's not enough to stop them though, as DC will claim the mid melee racks as well. TP in from the DK. We'll see if he's able to get a blink catch out. In fact, Weeheart just turning around with the yours to make sure he can't get off that blink Dragon Tail. Nonetheless, N jumping in, waveforming forward. The silence coming out to 2. They've got eyes onto Saxa, but moves there to back him up. The cast bouncing between Yang and Nono. Now the Chain Frost over to DDC. DDC getting chased down by Moo. Nono being focused by the rest of DC. They'll take down the DK. They're trying to turn this VGR, but they're crumbling. They're crumbling hard. Yang silenced up, taken down by Resolution. Double kill on the Lifestealer. Now they've got eyes onto FY as well. He will be able to get himself out here with the Invis. They did kill off the Lich, but again, another favorable trade for DC. At this point, it really is looking like DC's game to take. They'll finish off the mid racks. Almost certainly getting ready to look towards the top as well, with 2 heroes off the map on VGR. 2 of their cores as well. And this game, I mean, what happened to Vici here, Ben?
I think they just gave DC everything that they wanted. I thought they were going to go more aggro with the Bounty Hunter, get a lot of track kills, but with the Morphling last pick, they were kind of pigeonholed into just, hey, let's wait until Morphling gets too big. And also, I think it was a...
Nice blink instantly away from the swap. And now DDC's waltzed in, but the silence is there. Yang trying to frontline here for the silence. Oh, Weeheart will get blown up. A big kill for VGR. Can they find themselves anything more here? Eyes up to Saxa. Resolution trying to get himself out on the silence with a raised TP. He'll escape. Saxa won't. So VGR do find 2, but they're only holding on now to that half a racks on the top lane. That's all that stands between themselves and being mega creep. They're still looking to chase down Moo, but they know that it's going to be hard to catch Nono himself. He can't really take this man down without any kind of backup, and the backup too far away. So Vici, they do hold, but it's only by a tiny bit, Ben.
Overall, I think VGR's safe lane was much too weak to deal with the Doombringer, and it was a 3-on-4 engagement on the bottom, one of the first crucial engagements, and Doom didn't die, and they were able to still take the tower and continue to press on after Doom had used the salve. And at that point, like, Morphling can't farm anywhere. He's not particularly good at jungling. He does have the Quelling Blade, but that doesn't make up for his inherent early game weakness.
And needs to be careful. Well, chuck out the adaptive struck onto Moon, making sure he can't get that blink Doom off. I get the deny. Nonetheless, at least VGR are able to take some kind of extra bit of control of the map by taking a tower, but they need everything they get at this point, VGR. And I mean, if they can get a team fight where, you know, we see FY getting everyone tracked up, and then they get a wipe, maybe then there'll be some kind of cash influx to help switch this. But yeah, that really is the problem. As we can see, of course, Misery's just been laying down the Frost Armor onto everyone. All 3 cores incredibly tanky on the side of DC, and they've got so much sustain and so much backup, as the panel talked about with these pushes, with the Voodoo Restoration from Saxon. He himself on the Witch Doctor has been having an excellent game. I mean,
their front line is way too strong. Yeah. Death Prophet has died a couple of times, but only because she's been poorly positioned with the Lifesteal on the front line, the Doom with the BKB, there should be almost no way that they can catch Wii safely.
And this is all or nothing here for Vici Gaming. They need something huge. Resolution, raging straight up, forcing them back. They do have, of course, with the E-Blade onto end, maybe they can blow up one of the heroes on DC, but it's going to be hard, to say the least. DC just heading up towards the top. I haven't got a creep wave up here.
They can wait for bottom lane to push in. Might be maybe 30 seconds or so that they have to wait.
VGR are trying to wrap around from the side here, under the cover of the smoke. But we can see DC at this point just playing incredibly careful, not wanting to throw away this huge advantage they have at this stage of the game. We'll have a track out onto Resolution, but Resolution doesn't care. Eyes onto DDC. DDC kind of AFK in it, but that's a bit of a bait. Just forces away. He's cool. Slides to the side, and he'll be safe. Digital Chaos very much ready to come in on this one. We're just waiting for the creep wave, and now this could be it. The push from DC to look to end game one, take the first victory in this best of three. Resolution just raging, going to look to take away the final racks from Vici Gaming. What can they do about it? Exorcism's out as well, so it's going to be a hard fight with the Moon on the sideline. Oh, he's already found Yang, so there's going to be no ravage for this. They'll try and nuke down Weeha, but the sustain, the heals is too much. GG, well played is called as Digital Chaos take game one against Vici Gaming. Reborn. I mean, Reborn, Ben, but they were never really allowed to start with in this game.
Yeah, no chance for the onslaught from DC. Oh, it's crazy. They just transitioned so smoothly from the early game until the mid-game team fight because of the Lich. There was no threat to the Death Prophet the entire game, and I don't really feel like DC ever feared they were going to lose that game at all.
Absolutely not. I mean, yeah, this Lifestealer, yeah, Resolution had the easiest game of his life. They're 4-0-7. He really did not get contested at all. I mean, it was obviously picked up very early in the draft for DC. Going into game two, how would you deal with that if you're VGR? Did they just not have the lineup to deal with a Lifestealer? Do you think they'll switch it up if DC do come out again with a Resolution Lifestealer?
I didn't think they'd shoot themselves in the foot like that with the Morphling pick, but it seems like that's what happened. Nothing happened for VGR all game.
It really didn't. They've really got to step it up for game two if they want to have a chance of taking a game against Digital Chaos. So game two right around the corner, but don't go anywhere, because for the time being, we'll head back to the pool and the panel to hear what they have to say about DC's game one performance.
Thank you very much. Odie Pixel will go back to the commentary team for game two, and it won't be too long as well. We've got more to catch up on, of course. Black has been away, but he has returned. He'll bring secrets from the secret shop to the panel. But Charlie and Purge, we'll catch up with you two as well about this particular matchup. Charlie, I'm going to come to you first because you don't like this draft at all.
That was one of the worst. That draft out of VGR, I think, was one of the worst drafts of this tournament. I hate to say it, but that was so ineffectual. They lost every single lane. They had Nakes free. They let the Nakes freefarm by just sacking the Bounty Hunter up there and then having tied Iron Talon jungle. Then they picked a Morphling, which got destroyed by the Lich Doom offlane. And then DK is awful against the Death Prophet in the solo matchup. They got a couple kills, but it doesn't really matter because they lost lane so hard.
Do you on board with this?
I agree that the way they drafted it and the way they played together were awful, and that's why the game is so one-sided. But I think they could have made that work if they played it differently. The problem was
how do they play that differently?
That was exactly what I was about to say. Thank you. What they should have done is maybe put Tide in the off lane instead of starting jungle. They basically went for greed with their lineup that wasn't super greed, and they played it against a lineup that had aggressive dual lanes, which counter their Morphling. If they just put Tide off lane and they start Bounty Hunter in the safe lane and they repeatedly kill Lich, then that can actually accelerate Morphling into decent damage in the mid game. And yes, I agree, Morphling isn't the best carry or even maybe a good carry right now. He needs an item to be effective. And
he needs 2 items to be effective.
He needs about 2 items. He needs like a mid-tier item. I think Dragonlance is very good on him. And then he needs like an E-Blade or a Linken's minimum before he does good stuff. So they needed to do Bounty safe lane. They needed to repeatedly kill Lich, which they can do with Morphling Waveform, with Bounty Slow, and with Venge. That's a decent kill opportunity. They killed him a few times. By that I mean once. They needed to kill him like 3 times. If they did that, then it offsets the experience you lose, the gold you lose.
Here's the thing, like, you can kill that lane if the Lich is really bad. You can kill the lane like multiple times if Misery messes up. But the thing is, the wave is always going to be pushed back because it's a Lich. And then even if you kill the Lich a bunch of times, it doesn't really matter that much. He's only there to stifle the Morphling's farm. Doom can always go into the jungle, can always eat the big creep in the camp next to the Roshan. And Tide offlane still gets zoned out by the Witch Doctor. That's something that you brought up in the beginning. And what do you do about the mid matchup? Death Prophet still destroys the Dragon Knight.
Cross your fingers, I guess. I mean,
And
either
cross
way,
your fingers, hope to die.
like it didn't look good by any means, but I think they could have played it better, definitely.
What I think they needed to do, I agree they should have triple lane to safe lane, but they did not de-ward. That means the Lich had complete reign because they couldn't pull. If you can't pull against the Lich, you lose. You need to de-ward that, then you need to start pulling. You need to make sure, because Morphling, you have to go all in on Morphling. Morphling is the only one who can really carry this game. Offlane, you won't farm much. Maybe you even have to start in the jungle. You have to cut your losses. And in that case, they didn't. They were just like, okay, if we lose here, let's just lose everything. What I should have done is triple lane safe, and then just try to get the Morph as fat as possible.
That's really where Morphling first got his value in the pro scene a couple years ago. It's that he would contribute so much to a tri-lane compared to a lot of other sports like anti-mage or something like that.
Right.
You have waveform and you have good right clicks.
Here's the problem now. Morphling in this patch is a win more hero.
Yeah.
He only works well if the other 4 heroes on your team are just so massively successful in the early mid game that they create so much room for Morphling to get up his items, to be able to have an impact in the game later. He's a win more hero. He wants to farm for like 20, 25 minutes to get up his core items before he can really do anything. That's not this patch. This is a patch where everybody needs to have an impact at every stage of the game.
Yeah. And you can't do a game like this where you pick a Morphling on an elimination best of 3. Because if they had a more reasonable carry, they could have maybe won that lane. Yeah. Or something that could team fight better early.
What I would have liked the best is a Weaver pick, and then I go dual offlane against the Lifestealer, and they just leave the Tide on the safe lane to
that would have been really good
against those two.
Yeah, because Weaver's decent against Lifestealer, especially in the laning stage. You can leave him solo, he's fine. Against a Witch Doctor, you have to worry about Cask, but you can almost always react to it and get some distance before you get stunned. Right. That would have been a great pick.
Would have been better.
Running.
A little better, definitely.
Highlights are running, and they're not. It's not pretty. If you're a Vici Gaming Reborn fan right now, that's for sure. The early game, I mean, they were picking up kills, but they were always behind on net worth. Kevin.
It was substantially behind because I mean they were denying creeps consistently with Lich. Mid lane was going better for DP. Nobody was farming in the off lane. It was just getting experience there, which that only works if you use that experience to get tons of kills or towers afterwards.
Who stood out amongst the DC boys? I mean, Resolution probably had one of the easiest games of his life, didn't he?
I think they all had one of the easiest games of their lives, to be honest. I want to give credit to Misery for just outdrafting VGR. Well, to be fair, I think VGR kind of outdrafted themselves.
I really like how Soxa played this game. He's consistently had amazing KDAs on his Witch Doctor. He was like 5-1 and 8 that game, somewhere around there. He constantly gets kills. His Maledics have been on point, his Death Wards as well. He's far enough away from the fight that he still gets a lot of damage output, and it's usually after the Ravage comes out. So one of those two probably, but I think everybody played very well with the space they had.
What I liked about Misery, though, we spoke about VGR not having enough damage, and Misery realized that right away. He maxed Frost Armor above anything and just made every hero so tanky, and that's why I think I just want to give the MVP to Misery for the captaining, as well as like realizing what they're weak at, and then he exposed that.
And I think the one other player I really want to talk about is probably Moo that game, because you saw him have some ineffectual dooms that game, but I think what he did was he just created space for his team. Yeah. There was already tons of space at the start of the game, and then it transitioned into Moo just playing around in the offlane. He would doom Morphling would go down to 40% HP. He can't stay in lane with that, even if he has a Perseverance. He actually has to go back to base, or bring out a Salve, and that's lost farm, that's lost gold. That takes the only thing that VGR could have won the game with completely out of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Let's look forward to game 2. What is there to look forward to? We saw FY in the interview with Siraxis. Actually, you know him well. Great player, legendary player in some senses. It astonishes me in some ways that he's still only 21 years old. How is that even possible? It seems like he's been around forever. But talk to us about his strengths and his weaknesses and what he brings to the team and what he can help them do in game 2.
I think he has one really big weakness, and that is in big tournaments, if something doesn't go his way, like the way he plans it out to be, because he's one of the best captains in my opinion. But if you do like a substantial mistake like he did here, he would sometimes not recover from that. Although that I think is his only weakness. His biggest strengths are he's very confident, but not overconfident. You know, he's still scared to lose, which I think you need to be in order to actually beat anyone. You can't overestimate yourself, but you can't underrate anyone either. I think that's what he's really good about. He's very humble, and he's just a very smart captain in a way that he picks. I mean, even though the Morphing didn't work out, it's End's comfort hero, and it's his comfort zone as well, and he always picks to his team's strength. Even though in this game obviously didn't work out because the overall strategy wasn't that good. But
Charlie says it was the worst draft of the tournament. Do you agree?
One of them.
I think I have to. It was like, as we just said, maybe that is even another weakness that I didn't think about. He picks each individual player, their like comfort hero, like they did here, and then it just ends up being a mess. You know, no like coordinated strategy, just like you play that, you play that, you play that, and then something like that happens.
On the flip side of that, Charlie, if they all get their favourite heroes in the next game and it matches up in terms of the way that the draft falls, then we could see a different team, couldn't we?
Potentially, this really comes down to draft. Like I said in the beginning, I don't feel like VGR has a real good hold on this meta or an idea of how they want to play. Something that I want to actually ask you about, Black, is that we haven't seen, ever since DAC, we haven't seen FY be the exact same captain that he was prior to that. Ever since Hao joined the team, he hasn't reached those glory days that he had in the past. And something that I've heard within the scene is, during those times, like, Hao flamed the crap out of FY during those times, and he lost a lot of confidence, and he hasn't been that same player.
You know, at DAC, you were the manager of EG, you know. In the winner bracket final, we won pretty convincingly against EG. We 2-0'd them. And then in the grand final, we lost 3-0. We had, like, no chance at all. And that really, like, it was biting on his confidence. He was like, ever since then, he just felt like he was not the same person. We lost because of him. I always told him it's not true. You're actually a really great player. You know, sometimes it just happens and you have to move on.
Classic PPD.
Right, but PPD knows how to move on when he makes a mistake, right?
Yeah.
And that's
kind of classic PPD in that they lose 2-0 in the upper bracket final and they come back up and they sweep it.
Yeah.
He's done that so many times.
Yeah, typical EG. Like, they just adapt with the draft, and we got completely outdrafted in every game. He blamed himself for it, even though we drafted together as a team. So I always told him, it's not your fault, man. Just relax, recover from it. Because if you don't, then it will just hurt your career. I don't know what else to say about him today, because
he is a different player from the 2013, 2014 player that we saw, though.
He's very different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether he recovered yet or not.
Doesn't look like it.
All right, Purge, what do you expect from the second? DC have got it relatively, I don't want to say easy because there's nothing easy at this level, but relatively speaking, they've got it easy going into draft 2. They can be either out there, a bit wacky, or they can just stick to what they know and feel pretty confident that they can beat VGR, right?
It definitely looked like a gimme game for sure. And that was drafting alone. They played perfectly against that style. It gives me confidence in them being able to dissect and play well against a strat that has some weaknesses, because they definitely exposed those very well and played against it. So DC's got to be super confident going into the next game. I don't think it's super surprising that it looks like that at the beginning of the series, but they're sitting in their booths, they're ready, and Vici is not.
If I do have one criticism of DC and sort of like maybe some hope for VGR is that I don't think we played his best that game. He was a little sloppy. Did
he need to?
Not necessarily. That's part of the problem, not necessarily, but you still want to have, you don't want to be sloppy. This is a gimme game. Don't get sloppy. Don't get careless. There were times where he got caught out or died too early. There was that top fight where he died on intel treads, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe if he's on strength, maybe if he doesn't overestimate his opponent, and he survives, he gets off his wand, and he doesn't give away that careless death because it's not necessary.
Okay, I mean I think there are some players, and you'll know this better than I do, having managed with EG, that thrive in those situations where they're thinking, okay, easy game, all I want to do is set some records here, or get as many kills as I can, and they go ham, right? They go crazy on those games. And then there are other players who, they almost want to react to who they're playing against. They play better players that suddenly brings the best out of them.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, that kind of mentality where just like, I'm going to push my limits versus I'm going to play my best and just play to win. Pushing your limits can make you a better player in the long run, but it can also lead to losses when you get overconfident, when you don't respect your opponent. It can also tilt your teammates.
Right. What I think about that, though, is you need, in a very successful team, you needed 2 players in the team at least that have both of those. Or like rather, one has, like, he's very aggressive and over-eager and like overconfident. Then you have one who's like, no, don't do that. And I feel like that creates a perfect balance for that person that always
I don't think it's just as simple as that. You can have those two things, and those two styles are very important, but what you also need is somebody that understands how to switch from both those styles, and those two people at opposite ends of the spectrum need to understand the other play style, when to switch, understand the other person and their tendencies. Or else if you don't have that understanding and that communication, then you have clash, then you have disagreements, then you have people fighting amongst each other over how to play the game.
Okay. Right.